for analytics. Thank you, Russia, for coordinating the recording. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining the Center for Analytics webinar today. We're still a bit early, and we might wait maybe another minute or so before we get started. But we're excited to have with us today AiimSense join us to present on their work with respect to or related to the Center for Analytics and the exciting work they're doing in developing techniques to augment neuroimaging data. We'll have a chance to hear from Ati Zarabadi, Dr. Ati Zarabadi from AiimSense, as well as Dr. Mohamed Chavoshi in a few minutes. Before we get started, I will be giving a bit of a background on the Center for Analytics and what we do also at the Ontario Brain Institute, so that we provide a bit of context as to what we do, and we'll then have a chance to jump into the presentation from Ati and Mohamed, as well as a session for questions and answers near the end. So please reserve your questions for the end of the webinar. We will be looking at questions around the 12:40 minute mark. So let's just wait another minute and then we'll get started. Okay, I realize it's 12:04 and time is flying by fast, so we should get started. Again, welcome everybody. This is a webinar with the Center for Analytics, where we're welcoming AiimSense Inc., a startup located here in Ontario, working with the Center for Analytics, and we're supporting AiimSense in the development of their exciting new technologies, augmenting neuroimaging data. And I'll start by providing a bit of a background on the Center for Analytics and our activities at the Ontario Brain Institute, and then we'll have a chance to hear from Dr. Ati Zarabadi from AiimSense, as well as Dr. Mohamed Chavoshi about their very exciting work. We'll then reserve time at the end for questions and answers. So without further ado, a bit of background on the Center for Analytics and what we do. And so I wanted to start a little bit with the context in which the Ontario Brain Institute operates, and really the exciting work that we're doing in the space of neuroscience research. And what we've done, with the terrific network of collaborators and partners across Ontario, but also Canada and even beyond, is to establish very robust and very large platforms aimed at understanding neurological disorders. And so far, we have 5 major programs, that we call integrated discovery programs, that work with a number of different partners across Ontario, Canada, and beyond at better understanding brain disorders. And so they conduct very important research projects, but they also work very closely with patient communities, and they also collaborate closely with industry partners who have new technologies that they are developing, either on the treatment side or it could be on the diagnostic side, and or even helping with patients and communities better understand their conditions. So a lot of exciting work happening across these very large programs. We have over 30 plus institutions. I think it's even maybe closer to 40 at this point that are connected to these 5 major programs. These programs cover, we have CanBind, for example, here, focused on major depressive disorders. On the left, we see POND, focused on neurodevelopmental disorders. The CPNet program, focused on cerebral palsy. The CALM program, a relatively new program focused on multiple mental health disorders in children and youth. And finally, the Transcendent program, exploring concussion and mechanisms of better understanding concussions and how we can help individuals recover from concussions. So like I mentioned, these major programs are conducting very large studies that span multiple sites, multiple communities across Canada. What we've worked with them on is actually collect and bring this data together onto a centralized platform, which we call BrainCode. And so BrainCode has a large number of users now across these different sites that collect data in a harmonized way, such that data have common elements collected across these studies so that we can start comparing data sets from patients that might come from, that might be part of studies looking at neurodevelopmental disorders, along with patients that are part of a maybe major depressive disorder research study. So a lot of opportunities to start comparing, contrasting these data and these participants so that we can better fundamentally understand their brain disorders. And the platform also helps with that data federation and data linking so that we can augment these data sets and enable better insights for the research community. Fundamentally, it's really about the analysis of these data. How do we better understand these disorders? How can we better develop technologies that can better treat or improve on these data sets so that we can ultimately have impact on patients' health? And so the platform has really collected quite a large number of data over time. We have this multimodal data that spans clinical, imaging, molecular, genomics, wearable, and other modalities. These data, as I mentioned, are standardized. We have common data elements that collect these common assessments, and we enable that data linking. We now have well over 28,000 records, over 13 million clinical data points, and it's really growing as we speak, on a month-to-month basis. So this creates a very large data opportunity. And I think what OBI realized a few years ago is that there are still challenges that remain. For one, we don't always have quite the skills that we need to understand the complexity of brain disorders. And so we need to support companies, we need to support labs in developing those skills so that we can combine data modalities more effectively and look at these brain disorders from a new perspective. We often see expertise in maybe neuroimaging or molecular or genomics, but rarely do we see the expertise to really start bridging the gap between these modalities and really maximizing the value of the data and of the insights that we could potentially generate. So this is a very big challenge, and the Center for Analytics is aimed at helping address this. We also see a need for acceleration of the development of these technologies that can better understand brain health and better help maybe with the prediction, the treatment, or the diagnostics. So labs and companies need access to modern computing, for example, and GPUs, so graphical processing units, for example, are the de facto standard today to help with the training of modern machine learning algorithms. There's also a need for the appropriate software and the appropriate tools to make use of this computing and to help build more complex, more sophisticated models that can build on top of knowledge and techniques that have been developed by others. And last but not least, we also need to see a big need for the help with translation. How do we bring these technologies to the point of care? How do we help the labs and companies navigate the challenges of regulatory compliance, for example, the challenges of privacy preserving technologies, and even the pathway to commercialization. There are a lot of challenges that companies and labs face, and there's a big gap that we can help fill for this early stage technology development in the neurosciences. And so this is where OBI took the charge in creating the Center for Analytics to help address these gaps and provide the resources and the capacity for these laboratories and these companies, these early startups that have innovative ideas, innovative technologies that they want to bring to either to the markets or directly into the clinical context so they can have real world impact. So our goal, our aim is really to help unlock the future of brain health via neuroanalytics, innovation, and translation. And so we've developed our program to really address these three major gaps. We're looking at developing skill sets for the labs and the companies. And this happens through analytics initiative programs like the one AiimSense is a part of, but also through data challenges, for example, and collaborations that we have right now with Compute Ontario, for example, in their summer school program to deliver courses and tutorials and training for data scientists and neuroscientists who are developing the skill set in this domain. We also provide capacity from a computing standpoint. We have the very advanced compute in the cloud now made available to labs and startups who are developing their technology and need access to more modern compute, and compute that essentially can help address the overhead of running large models that require a lot of memory or a lot of computing power. There's also a benefit from a security and privacy standpoint that we can provide through the expertise that we've developed by developing our platform like BrainCode, as well as this the secure structure that we can benefit from modern computing on the cloud. So a lot of great capacity that we've built so far that we're enabling these labs and startups to have access to. And last but not least, really the support around translation of the technology. So how can we help the companies navigate the challenges of ensuring that their technology can be validated? How do we help companies navigate the challenges of regulatory compliance and privacy? Well, these are our skill sets that we bring to the table and can help the companies and labs with. So, for example, access to data on BrainCode can help with that validation of a new algorithm that's been developed maybe on prior data not available, where there are limited data available for the group to test and validate on. We can help with this navigation across the challenges of the regulatory pathway by connecting with the right individuals, but also helping strategize on the application process for these approvals. And ultimately, we also have the capacity, and this is partly thanks to our cloud capacity, to help with the productization of some of these tools. When a group has a early stage algorithm that hasn't been really exposed to a large set of users, we can help with that productization by bringing the tool onto the cloud and providing all the components that are required, such as user access management, security, privacy, as well as the communication layer for these applications, so that they can be made available for a larger user base and start testing their technology in the real world. And so this is part of the vision behind the analytics initiatives themselves. We're looking at supporting very specific labs and startups that are at the right stage of development with a very advanced technique or technology that has the opportunity to really have an impact on patients' health, or in the ability for clinicians, for example, to make better diagnostics, or even have an impact in the communities where patients and individuals with a brain disorder or providing care for someone with a brain disorder has the information that they need and know the pathway that can be taken, for example, to better support individuals with a brain disorder. So there are a lot of opportunities here, and this is where the Analytics Initiative has really been a focused area for us. And some of the key pieces for these Analytics Initiatives is to first look at developing highly qualified personnel with skills in this capacity of working with multimodal data. Also leveraging the advanced compute that can be made available through the cloud. Ultimately, these Analytics Initiatives are very focused on developing new methods and techniques that can be disseminated through the community. And they've, in some cases, we'll do this through publications or tutorials, but very specifically through the CFA, the Center for Analytics, we work with these labs and startups to develop methods tutorials that can be shared and broadly disseminated with the community. And I'll share a link about for some of these in a few slides for the first two inaugural initiatives that we've had completed so far. These initiatives are also focused on that translational strategy, and will support the groups with that, as I mentioned. And ultimately, there's an opportunity to contribute data and analytics back to the community, which can be very beneficial in terms of refinements to data models, refinements to some of the tools that are available, so that others can build upon what's been created so far. And finally, last but not least, it's really about creating a community of practice. We have a lot of expertise, as we know, through our community. And by bringing these labs and startups together, we have a chance for that knowledge exchange and a chance to really build on top of the expertise by leveraging each other's area of interest, area of capacity, and building up this community of practice that can help spearhead a new era of data science for neurological disease understanding and treatment. So just to highlight some of the recent two analytics initiatives that have graduated so far, we had Cove Neuroscience, led by Dr. Nardine Samuel, who had created mappings and models of multiple brain from multiple brain imaging data sets to better understand and classify neurodevelopmental disorders in autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. They've done a lot of interesting work looking at the modeling of neuroimaging data and the dynamical network patterns from brain images that can help reveal these categories between the participants of major neurodevelopmental disorder studies, in particular from the PON study, which is a data set available now on the BrainCode platform. On the other hand, we had Dr. Lyle Mueller from Western University and his team working on spiking neural networks as a means of simulating epileptic seizures, which could then help identify the proper timing for attenuating these seizures in a non-invasive way. So a lot of new methods that can help essentially on the treatment side of epilepsy to help attenuate these seizures, so that patients could potentially leverage this, make use of this treatment approach without undergoing surgery, which is currently the standard of care. So we made some of these, so both of these projects were involved in the development of capacity and skills, as well as developing these methods tutorials that I mentioned earlier. And so if you'd be interested in exploring this, I'll share the next slide with a link to those resources. But we're seeing how there are a lot of use cases for these analytics initiatives to have a real impact in the world. For example, through clinical trials optimization, there's a big need in better developing or designing these clinical trials. And one major area is around subtyping. How do we identify the right population to include in a trial? Better understanding outcomes from, and can we predict these outcomes by generating a sort of brain fingerprint from data available from existing studies? Also disambiguating comorbidities. We know that brain disorders are complex, and there's a big need to understand the relationship between disorders for individuals presenting with a brain disorder. And treatment optimization is another big area of interest. And the example from Dr. Lyle Mueller is a great example of this, where you're looking at ways of better understanding the brain activity, so that you can optimize sort of the treatment that could be applied for those participants or those patients. And there are many other use cases, as we can imagine. And we'll hear from AiimSense today on their work, looking at supporting the use of more mobile and portable brain scanners, and using AI techniques to make better use of the data that are available from these scanners. This is a QR code and link to these resources that currently exist, and we'll be adding to these resources over time. So everybody is welcome to take a snapshot of these and follow these resources. We can also make this available through through our website in a short order. So I'll stop there, and I thank everybody for this early presentation on the Center for Analytics, and we'll now have a chance to introduce Dr. Ati Zarabadi, who's a scientist turned entrepreneur on a mission to transform brain imaging. She's a deep tech entrepreneur and scientist dedicated to revolutionizing brain imaging. She's the founder of AiimSense, a medtech startup developing portable AI-driven brain scanners for stroke and traumatic brain injuries. She has over 10 years of experience in life sciences, imaging, and commercialization. And she's passionate about bridging the gap between cutting-edge research and real-world healthcare impact. So thank you, Ati, and thank you also, Mohammed, for making it today. I'll pass it on to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Francis, for the introduction. Our presentation today is about a fundamental shift in neuroimaging. We are moving from stationary room-sized machines to portable, accessible devices, and we'll show you how we are using AI to bring high-precision diagnostics directly to the point of care, a project we are proud to develop with the support from Ontario Brain Institute's Center for Analytics. We begin with the problem we're solving. It's one of the largest and most time-sensitive in all healthcare: stroke. A stroke is a leading cause of death and disability worldwide, with a staggering projected economic burden of $2.3 trillion by 2050. But the most critical number is this: for every minute a stroke goes untreated, nearly 2 million brain cells die, increasing the risk of permanent brain damage, disability, or death. The clinical reality is that time is brain. Early instant diagnostic isn't just an advantage, it's an entire battle. So what is the bottleneck? Our current gold standards, CT scan and MRI, are excellent technologies, but they're stationary, they're high cost, complex systems, locked inside specialized hospital rooms. This creates a critical system-wide bottleneck that results in delayed patient flow. This is a fundamental mismatch for a disease where every minute matters. The mobile stroke unit was a vital experiment. It proved that bringing the scanner to the patient saves lives and improves outcomes. It validated the need for pre-hospital imaging, but it also proved that the current model is financially unsustainable. There are large trucks with a specialized staff and a full CT scanner inside, at over $1 million to build and another $1 million per year to operate. They simply cannot be scaled. This is why there is only one in all of Canada. It's a great solution for a few, but not a global answer. This is where AiimSense comes in. We are rethinking the problem from the ground up. Our breakthrough solution, BrainScreen, is designed to be the scalable, accessible answer. It benefits the entire healthcare system. For patients, it accelerates care delivery. For providers, it offers a powerful tool without the massive infrastructure costs. And for payers, it dramatically lowers the long-term expenses of a stroke disability. The core of our technology is electromagnetic imaging, or EMI. This novel emerging technique is already proven in other clinical fields and is now poised to revolutionize neuroimaging. In simple terms, our hardware, a helmet-like array of sensors, emits low-power non-ionizing waves, as safe as a cell phone device. These waves interact with the brain's internal tissue, and our sophisticated software reconstructs an image based on the tissue's electrical properties, or dielectric properties. This allows us to detect structural changes such as hemorrhage or an ischemic blockage, with inherent high contrast and critically without requiring any contrast reagent. EMI is the next step on the evolutionary timeline of medical imaging. This radar chart shows precisely why it is required to solve the accessibility challenge. Compared to a CT scanner or MRI machine, EMI offers overwhelming advantages in 4 crucial areas: portability, safety, cost-effectiveness, and the ability to perform continuous monitoring at the bedside. Its only historical trade-off has been spatial resolution, but by focusing our AI expertise, we are solving that technical challenge to unlock EMI's full diagnostic power and make it a globally scalable solution. Why now is the time? Because the technology has finally caught up to the vision. Decades of research are converging with a perfect storm of enabling technologies. Look at this image. On the left, a network analyzer from the 1970s. It's the size of a room. On the right, the same core technology now fits in the palm of your hand. This hardware miniaturization, combined with exponential gains in processing power and AI algorithms, allows us to do what was impossible just a few years ago. Our solution is a complete integrated system. BrainScreen is the portable hardware, the helmet and sensors that interface with the patient. Neural Map Pro is the brain of the operation. It is our proprietary software that takes the raw data from the sensors and maps the brain's dielectric properties. Any change in these values, such as a bleed or a blockage, appears on the final reconstructed image. Here is our clinical MVP in action in a simulated setting. This demonstrates the core value. It can be used anywhere. It can be brought to the patient's bedside, used in the emergency department, or most critically, deployed in a standard ambulance. We will be sharing a link to the demo so you can see the full workflow. This portability unlocks 2 main applications across the entire continuum of stroke care. First, in ambulance imaging for early diagnosis and triage. This ensures the patient is sent to the right hospital for the right treatment from the very beginning. Second, bedside imaging for ongoing care. This allows for continuous monitoring of a patient's recovery or response to treatment without repeatedly moving them to a CT or MRI, which is simply not feasible today. The potential for this technology is truly global and goes far beyond the traditional hospital. We are opening a $12 billion market in North America, serving not just the stroke centers and EMS, but also critical underserved sectors. Think about rural and remote communities, military field hospitals, disaster relief zones, and aged care facilities. We are bringing high-end diagnostic power to the places that have been left behind by the current infrastructure-heavy model. We have been building this technology for 6 years, and we have a significant foundation of validation. We have progressed from a concept to a clinical-ready MVP. We've completed extensive preclinical work, including animal studies and phantom tests, and we have successfully completed our FDA pre-submission, giving us a clear regulatory pathway. We are now preparing for our first in-human trial, and we are proud to have our innovation recognized by key partners like UHN, Ohio, and the Ontario Brain Institute. This final slide perfectly illustrates both our value and our challenge. On the left, an MRI of a ischemic patient. On the right, an EMI reconstruction of a similar condition. You can immediately see the high contrast, capability of our technology, the stroke is clearly visible, but you can also see the resolution issue I mentioned earlier. Our joint project is focused on using deep learning to push the resolution past the 5 to 6 millimeter mark, moving closer to 3 millimeter, thereby unlocking the full diagnostic potential of this technology. To walk you through the technical details of how we are achieving this, I will now hand it over to my colleague and our CTO, Mohammed Chaboshi. Mohammed, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mohammed. I'm CTO AiimSense and the technical part. And I give you some brief overview of the project that we are doing and working with OBI CFA. In this project that is supported by Braininstitute's Center for Analytics, my team is working on deep learning algorithm to increase low resolution images of MR and electromagnetic images. In this project, we are using low and high resolution of MRI, synthetic MRI image, and electromagnetic images. And generally, by applying low resolution, by increasing low resolution images, we can use this kind of algorithm to increase the resolution of different types of brain images, from low field MRI or even CT, and even we can use for electromagnet application. Generally, in this way, we can increase the cost, we can decrease the cost and time for different types of imaging systems. Here in this block diagram, you can see the general steps of electromagnet scanner, especially for the processing and the algorithm. After collecting the data, we have synchronization and pre-processing, and then we go for electromagnetic image reconstruction, and finally we do some post-processing and image report. It can be two-dimensional or three-dimensional. With three-dimensional, we can have different sections of the brain images from electromagnetic brains. And electromagnetic brain images, as Ati mentioned, is based on reconstructing the electric properties of the brain. And the electric properties has two types: the conductivity and the permittivity. And especially for in this this system, we are using deep learning and machine learning for different sections and different block of this systems. And especially for this project, we are using deep learning for increasing the low resolution of the algorithm. Generally, the resolution of the algorithm that we have for our electromagnetic imaging is around 5 to 6 millimeter, and we want to increase the resolution better than this to up to 3 millimeters. And here you can see the overall the project overview. We are using developing the electromagnet synthetic data, and we use high performance computing, power processing, electromagnet solvers, in-house or commercial solvers, and also we use different servers, internal servers or AWS servers. Also, we develop some standard algorithm from high to low resolution images. And also we are working for different deep learning algorithm, for example, self-supervised deep learning algorithm and other types of deep learning algorithm to increase low resolution images to high resolution images for MR, especially for MR and electromagnetic synthetic data. Next, please. The data, the type of data that we need for training for low resolution to high resolution algorithm, not for other types of tasks that I defined for you. We need around 500 to 5,000 images with the same setting for low resolution and high resolution images. Unfortunately, practically, we don't have low and high resolution with the same setting in market or our resources. And we talked to some hospital research centers that they can provide this kind of images with the same setting, but they are not available. So we, as I mentioned, in one step, we try to implement low resolution images and create low resolution images with the same setting from high resolution images. Next, please. As I mentioned, the types of electromagnet reconstruction is something similar to this, and we extract the dielectric properties, the permittivity and conductivity of the material. Yes.
Who's wait? Oh, it's cold out. Oh,
Sorry.
It's okay, Mohammed, you can continue.
Please continue.
Sure. And we can fuse these two images and extract the permittive conductivity images. Next, please. And as I mentioned, in some level, we are developing the deep learning algorithm for low resolution images to high resolution images. The start point is based on electromagnetic imaging and the synthetic, the MRI synthetic data that we created for low resolution and high resolution images. As you see in the right, for the first step, we have high resolution images, for example, for 1.5 Tesla MRI image, and then we use standard low resolution method to create low resolution image, for example, less than 5 Tesla. And here we define the peak SNR for creating different types of the images. Then we use this kind of synthetic data and the original data for training the deep learning algorithm, low to high resolution algorithm, and we create the image number 3, the reconstructed high resolution images. And until now, actually, as I mentioned, we developed the electromagnetic synthetic data. We will complete all of them, all of this kind of data, and including the raw data, electromagnetic raw data of the sensors. Most of them are for two-dimensional sensors, and we have 16 sensors for two-dimensional image, and we put this kind of raw data, including the image, the electromagnetic synthetic data, in OBI CFI website. And also we develop high to low resolution MR image and create synthetic MR images for training the algorithm. In the next steps, we will develop and complete the low to high resolution deep learning algorithm and test on the original and low resolution MRI imaging. And we expect to reach to the peak to SNR of 3 to 10 dB. It depends to the type of, to the type of low resolution algorithm. And also we will develop other comprehensive deep learning algorithm, and after that we will apply them for electromagnet imaging. And thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, please ask me.
That's great. Thank you, Mohammed, and thank you, Ati.
You.
Are there any questions from the audience? And feel free to unmute, or you can even type them in the chat if you prefer. I don't see any questions yet, but I'll start myself. I have a question, Mohammed, around the validation. What are your plans for validating the reconstructed images? So, you know, with the training set, you'll be able to sort of compare, I guess, the original high resolution with the reconstructed high resolution. I guess my first question would be, what technique do you use there? Is it like a mean squared error, or do you look for features? How can you ensure that the reconstructed image will be sort of significantly representative of the actual underlying sort of, you know, brain structure? And the second question would be, how do you do that on images that you don't know what the truth is? And you know, how much validation will be required to provide that robustness, I suppose.
Yeah, the types of the validation is based on, we wanted to develop some level of low to high resolution image that can be applied for especially electromagnet imaging. But we validate this kind of algorithm based on other types of imaging, for example, with CT images. We have some level of limited number of low resolution MRI image, and we can test them that it's working or not. However, we can, as I mentioned, SNR is one level that we can compare. We are not using all data for training. We put some part of the data for training and some part for validation. Except beside this kind of validation, as I mentioned, we use other types of imaging, for example, CT and even electromagnet images. That's for your first question. For second question, sorry, what was your second question?
I guess for images that you know, when you'll see new patients, and you haven't had a chance to, you know, you no longer have a reference high resolution image to train from. How will you be able to sort of provide a level of confidence that this is representative of the actual underlying brain structure? Like if there's a stroke, for example, that's been detected, or something else.
Yeah, actually, for a specific algorithm, we want to use this kind of image for a stroke. So as I mentioned, we will ask for some low resolution stroke images, and then apply this or other brain diseases, especially as I mentioned, stroke, and then apply this algorithm on them. And you know, we wanted to define another project with some hospitals to apply and validate you know, this method practically. But these are the things that we have in mind.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if you find another data set.
For a specific, you know, goals, for example, a stroke, or for example, some brain disease, we can define many projects to see that how this algorithm are working. but it takes time, especially for electromagnetic imaging. It takes time that we extract some real data and then apply to them to see that it's working, and then compare with high resolution imaging that we have from MR.
That's great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Are there other questions?
I had a couple of questions. Firstly, thank you both for the lovely presentation. I think it's pretty cool that we're looking beyond MRI, which is like the gold standard nowadays for brain imaging. I was just wondering, like you mentioned, the main purpose is to kind of use machine learning models and deep learning models to take it from low to high resolution. And I noticed a couple of your slides mentioned high to low as well. Is that to understand the process or to see why or how you could like convert the low to high resolution images?
So, can you explain more your question? I didn't understand.
I think a couple of your slides mentioned that you're converting the high resolution images to low resolution images. So I'm just trying to better understand why that is done.
Oh, as I mentioned, right now, because we wanted to have a pair of with the same setting for high and low resolution image. So it's impossible because we talked to many hospitals and asked, or research centers, do you have this kind of pair imaging or not? They don't have. So the best way is that we have to create this pair of images first and develop the algorithm.
Okay, makes sense. And the technique of like using EMI with machine learning, has this been done before? Because it seems like a pretty novel or newer technique, right? You said since 2020 it's been in the market.
Actually, when we are talking about the the deep learning and AI for EMI, it means for different levels. As Ati show you, or I show you, we can use for top level of the after extract the electromagnetic imaging without considering the very low raw data, or we can use machine learning for different section of the electromagnet, or we can generally extract the deep learning using deep learning for extract some level of brain images. The final thing that the final method that I mentioned for you, there are many research centers that they are working on this kind of things. Not many, but some of them. And but you know, using a general deep learning to extract directly from brain, it's impossible almost. But we have to use machine learning and AI and the AI algorithm for each section to increase the resolution and extract the image.
Okay, and just one last question. You mentioned like you compared it to MRI and CT. Did you also look at EEG? Because from my understanding, it's like a lot cheaper, but it
Sure.
doesn't give that high of a resolution. I guess like spatial resolution's not there, but it's, I guess, a lot easier to use.
Yeah. Actually, what we had in mind when we started this technology and scanning, we wanted to extract image. The image is important. After that, we can add more complexity to the systems. As you mentioned, in EEG, ultrasound can not be used. If ultrasound were used, it was very good. This method is some ultrasound method, not with ultrasound acoustic wave. It's for electromagnet wave, but it's similar to acoustic wave, ultrasound systems. But EEG, with EEG, we cannot extract the image. That's the bad thing. And we can use EEG for functional activity, not for some, you know, some brain images and extract some disease.
Thank you. Thank you for the webinar and for answering the questions. Excited to see where this goes.
Thanks, Mayank. Great question. Anybody else in the audience would like to ask questions for Ati or Mohammed? Nobody else. I did have another comments. I have a chance to touch base with Ati and Mohammed outside of the webinar, of course, but I might as well ask a bit about this this opportunity too. I wonder. I mean, I know you're not yet at the point of actually regenerating the high resolution images. You're just setting up the pipeline and the tooling right now to do that. I wonder if, you know, in terms of providing a more accurate reconstruction of that image, if other factors could be of interest. So for example, I'm thinking other risk factors. So if you're trying to reconstruct an image for somebody who's just suffered a stroke, or to identify, you know, identify the features of the stroke through the imaging, would it actually help to also add additional risk factors? And could those risk factors be correlated with the type of results in the image? And I'm not sure if there's a
I can take that question, Francis. You're absolutely right. Image quality is only the first step. While our current focus is the technical challenge of enhancing resolution using pure imaging data, our long-term plan is multimodal data fusion. We view clinical data like age or risk factors as essential contextual knowledge. The raw image shows the AI what is there. The clinical data tells the AI what to expect, dramatically improving its ability to distinguish subtle pathology from noise and leading to much higher diagnostic confidence.
that would be fantastic. Once it's actually deployed and there's an opportunity to collect additional data, it becomes a platform on which you can build on and refine the actual algorithm and tool. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a great opportunity. Fantastic. I don't see any other questions coming in through the group. I think we may be able to close a little bit early, but I did want to thank Ati and Mohammed for the great presentation today. It's really exciting to see the progress with your project with the Center for Analytics. There's a lot going on. I know it's a big opportunity to develop these new techniques, and I think, like Mayank said, to see how this becomes also available as a general technique that others can learn from and potentially apply to other modalities. I think it's one of the great things about this project that I've seen, and it aligns well with our vision of being multimodal. This could really apply to the various imaging modalities. It's within the larger imaging domain, but it can really apply to these different modalities. And like you said, Ati, the inclusion in the future of potentially other types of data could be extremely helpful as well. So it's really aligning well with this concept of leveraging, you know, all modalities and all dimensions really that are available from the data. So thank you for that. And I'd like to thank everybody who's joined today for this webinar session. It's the first of our new series of this year. Stay tuned for more webinars in the coming months. We will be reaching out through our social media and our network to invite you all to join us again. So thanks again, and thanks again to AiimSense for the great presentation today.
Thank you, Francis and OBI and everyone for attending. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.